Leadership's so important in an industry like hospitality, which is all about people and service. And there are lots of good leaders. You can think of them all the time. For instance, Robert Cook from Malmaison and Hotel de Vannes, James Horler, who transformed Latasca, Alistair Story of Baxter Story, Neil Howard, who came into Hakkasan and made such a difference. And you can see from just those few people that everybody has a different style. So there's no one way, one formula for leadership in hospitality. What is important, though, is to realise that leadership is not just about the CEO. We know from Learn Purple's original research that leadership is a top motivator for people in hospitality. Wherever you work, whether it be in the bar or the kitchen or the restaurant, to you, the leader is your boss. Therefore, it's very, very important that all hospitality companies are able to create leaders at all levels. So how can hospitality companies create leaders at all levels? Well, it doesn't just happen, but the good news is it's not all about expensive courses. If you've got values and culture defined within your organisation, it's very, very important that the leaders at the top of the tree are living those values and exuding that culture every day, because things tend to cascade down. So it's very, very important that the people at the top have this enormous responsibility, and they recognise that responsibility for how other leaders in the organisation will behave. Once you've recruited the right people, it's important to give absolutely everybody the sort of skills that they might need should they become a future leader. For example, time management, communication skills. If you can manage aspirations so that people don't all expect a leadership role, but understand that they're gaining these skills to help them in life, you will in turn be creating better leaders as you go along. For people to work well, they need to feel good about themselves, they need to feel safe, and they need to feel as if they're progressing. And that's the role of the leader, to make sure that those conditions exist. No one wants to work in a fear culture. No one wants to feel they're going to lose their job any minute now. So leaders do have this tremendous responsibility. And the way you can work out how leaders are going to put that forward is to say, how does leadership work in our organisation? And it's not about cloning people, it's about getting some sort of consistency so that people know whoever they work for in your organisation, they're going to get a similar standard of care, and that's really important when it comes to leadership. So what is the blueprint for creating leaders at all levels in hospitality? The plan goes like this. First of all, create a situation where everybody understands what your culture means, what your values are, and what that means to them. In that way, you can start to recruit people as potential leaders who will be the right fit with your organisation. And that's very, very important if you're not only growing your own leaders, but you're bringing in senior people from elsewhere. Start to develop basic leadership capabilities and skills in absolutely everyone. Basic life skills that they'll need anyway. Why wouldn't you do that? Remember, it's not all about courses, it's about things that you do on a day-to-day basis to grow your people. Make sure that you give people challenges. Some of the companies we work with, when we suggest challenging their people more, will say, oh, but you know, that might freak that person out, it's out of their comfort zone, or we don't have time to think about these challenges that you keep telling us to give people. But really, people thrive on progression, people thrive on growing, and people will only grow if occasionally you push them outside their comfort zone. So use the challenge as a great way to develop your leaders of the future. Of course, the dangerous thing about developing leadership capabilities with everybody could be that everyone thinks they're going to be a leader. So it's very, very important to be transparent, to manage aspirations, to understand what your people's own aspirations are, and then you can manage towards getting them to the place they want to be. It might be that they're never a leader within your organisation, in which case help them to be a leader somewhere else. The important thing is that people feel they're growing. I've met plenty of people who've been pushed into leadership positions when they didn't feel ready, or they simply just didn't want it. So it's very, very important to have some sort of system to plan succession, to understand how people think and feel and where they want to go, not only now but in the future. If you can do that, it's an immensely powerful way to run your business, because everybody's moving forward in the way that they want to move. I'm a massive fan of mentoring schemes, and I think anybody who wants to be a leader has to find themselves a mentor. Think of someone who you admire, someone who you think is a great leader, someone who performs in the way that you would like to be one day, and ask them. Don't be shy, because quite often, the good guys will want to share their skills and their attributes. They'll want to pass it on. Most people want to help the next generation anyway. How do you know whether you're a good leader? Well, talk to your people. We always ask people, how do you want to be managed? How do you want to be led? And you should be having those conversations with your people. And if you start off on that footing, adult to adult, don't treat them like children, then they will tell you if you're doing things that they don't think are right. My question to you is, ask yourself, if there was a leadership election today and my people were going to be voting, would I win? Because if the outcome of that makes you cringe, then you probably need to do something about your leadership style and maybe do a little bit more development.